Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Finn's Faithful podcast, a special Thursday edition here. Of course, the Dolphins are hungry for a bounce-back statement win, but how does the opponent see it? We head across the sidelines to get the Patriots' perspective on this early season clash. We have NFL writer and reporter from Patriots Wire, Sophie Weller, joining us today. Of course, we have my co-host as usually, Jason Sarney, and we're live on YouTube, guys, so please, you see the little bell, share the broadcast, drop those likes and help support the channel. We really appreciate it. This should be a good one. Pull up a seat. All right, Jason, I know we're both happy to have Sophie. Sophie, welcome. Thanks for giving us some time this evening.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Absolutely. It's great to have a USA Today wire cousin, as we said in the backstage. So we're colleagues.
Wire on wire crime today.
Wire on wire here. So let's get into it, We got both 0-1 teams, Dolphins and the Patriots. Obviously you guys had a tough loss with the Raiders at home last week. What do you see as the start of the Patriots season and the outlook to Sunday?
Yeah, I think with this Patriots season, I think the expectation was to come out swinging. And I think that was a little too, I don't want to say optimistic, but here's the thing. It's a completely new system for everyone. No one there. Maybe they have some experience with the coaching staff at different times, but these coaches working together, this is new. And specifically for Drake May, because that's where all the eyes and that's where all the conversation goes to. As he said yesterday, there are throws he's going to want back, but there are also some things he did well. He's in his fourth system in 4 years because he had two coordinators at Carolina, and now he's at two coordinators at New England. So this poor guy has not had a stable offense in a while, and he's gone from 1-1. And not just that, but Josh McDaniels' offense is not an easy one to pick up. This man, when you have Tom Brady, maybe it looks like, it's a flick of the wrist, but no, this is a very complex offense that he is now had to pick up and lead. And Josh gave him all the credit in the world today. He said, that's our guy. There was no doubt. It's a young quarterback learning an entirely new system, but that's our guy. He's got a bright future in this league. So I think that they're still finding their identity, but it's on that upward trajectory that Patriots fans maybe haven't had in a while.
Yeah, I know there was a ton of excitement about the new staff, right? Vrabel, McDaniels, former Dolphin coach. I think 2013, your defensive coordinator, his name Terrence Williams? No.
Terrell Williams.
Terrell Williams, yeah. He was on, I think, our staff in 13. A lot of excitement.
Yes.
I saw some of the game. It kind of was a little bit of the same old Patriots, right?
It's always going to be shred. They can't escape. It would be too sad to go away from that. We're so used to it at this point.
I mean, the defense was okay, right? They gave up 20 points, but has that excitement kind of everybody not much to talk down here, but has everybody kind of, okay, this is going to take some time now, right?
Yeah, I think that there were some people who were in this group of oh my gosh, 7.5 win total. Oh, they can surpass, if people are expecting that from them, this could be a playoff team. We're not getting there yet. We're at a team that's finding their own identity, that's learning how to play together. Because the other thing is you have these guys who were staples of the Patriots in recent years are no longer on this team. This is a completely new roster at almost every level. There are some guys who've remained, but the biggest storyline for a lot of Patriots writers this summer was Kyle Duggar, a safety. Starting safety, no doubts. Jabril Peppers, starting safety. All of a sudden, Kyle Duggar fell down the depth chart. We weren't even sure he was going to make the roster. Jabril Peppers now with the Steelers, not even on the team anymore. These are two guys for the last few years. They gave an extension to Duggar, and they're not kind of as the face of the franchise as much as they were. So it's just such a new team that's learning how to play together. And I think I've said this from the jump, the roster talent on that team is enough to win games. But that's not necessarily in order to be competitive and to make this push that you need in the NFL, they need to learn to play together, and that's still where that up and down is.
I always said it's good. It's going to be good to get New England early this year because I think later in the season they'll pick it up. And we're going to talk about the defense and those safeties and kind of what happened there. But let me ask you this: what's the Patriots' view of the Miami Dolphins? Like going into this game, I heard a little bit of Coach Vrabel speak, but I don't know the fan base or how do you see the Dolphins because they're obviously going through a tough loss week one. There's a lot of questions around the organization. What's the Patriots feel up there on the Dolphins?
No one's chalking this up by any means to like an easy win, simply because Miami has owned the Patriots at Hard Rock Stadium, and that's not like something that's not something that's being overlooked this week. As much as you're going to talk to the Patriots and they're going to have all the confidence in the world, but like that they have the talent, but playing an opposing AFC divisional rival, their home stadium, is never easy. And you're also you're still so early in this season where these fans are like, the boos haven't started as loud yet for the teams that are maybe struggling a bit. So it's always going to be a tough, and I don't think anyone's expecting this to be like a blowout on either side. I think it's going to be a competitive game, and they know that because it's not like they can go into this game being like, well, we got this. Like, no, you're an 0-1 team too.
Yeah.
Both teams are 0-1 right now, and they have a lot to prove. The Dolphins are going to come out hungry because they lost their week one, and it wasn't the prettiest of losses. Patriots lost a close one to the Raiders and there are many moments they could have won that game that they didn't, and they're going to be hungry as well. So this is going to be two football teams competing and wanting that win.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a big game for the Dolphins. Their head coach, really, because we got Buffalo on a short week. So more so, I think, probably for the Dolphins. You said you guys had a lot of change last year. All right. Speaking of change, what did you notice the big difference on a new head coach, Mike Vrabel? Is it the culture? Because I know there's been a lot of culture talk. And there's been a ton around here too. Is that kind of the big difference, the culture change? What have you seen and noticed under Coach Vrabel?
Yeah, I think it's the culture, and I think it's like the expectations. Mike Vrabel is one who's not going to mince any words. He's not going to sugarcoat anything. And I think, that was obviously a big storyline here last season was the sugarcoating and the walking things back. No, this is a guy who, if he says something out loud, he knows exactly what he's saying. Even if it's not maybe entirely the truth, it's a smokescreen for something. So we focus on that instead of, this guy has plans for everything he says. And he's willing to do anything to protect his team. Even if they play bad, he's going to acknowledge the bad plays. He's not going to shy away from that. But like something that I will say from over the summer that was a game changer, I think, for a lot of these players was when Vrabel was jumping in to protect his team on those fights and joint practices. Specifically the one with the Commanders where he came up with a streak of blood across his face. Like I remember talking to some players about that, just kind of like offhand, and they were like, that guy, that's our coach.
Yeah.
They were so proud that was their coach doing that kind of stuff. And that he was willing to just, and Vrabel's over here like, well, that's not a real fight. Have you watched any NFL games? That doesn't count. And all these players are like, yeah, but that's our coach. Like, look what he did. So it's definitely the culture. You can see it around the building, but it's the expectations are so much higher for each and every player. And it's not the right word, but I can't think of another word. It's like, there's not really the loyalty aspect of things right now is very different. Cause it's like, he has these good players. He knows like he has faith in. That being said, they're going to change this roster to get the best players possible. You saw that with Jabril Peppers,
Yeah.
That was the biggest surprise.
I was surprised by that. I thought they'd get rid of Duggar before Peppers.
Trust me, I was right there with you. So when that report came, I was like, is this like, am I being punked? Like, what is happening? But it's because it just wasn't the right fit for his scheme, and he's going to go out and get the person that is the right fit. He's not going to waste any time in doing so.
Yeah.
So those are the two biggest differences I see.
Speaking, we actually have a question in the chat. We're going to touch on this anyways. We can get to it now. Hey, Sophie, Miami Dolphin fans know Stephon Diggs has been our kryptonite. Now, how has he progressed from his ACL injury? Are they planning to unleash him this Sunday?
As far as the ACL injury, you would not know that man tore his ACL in Week 8 of the 2024 season based on the way he has looked this summer in practices. I mean, he is giving it his all. There's been nothing since we have seen him take the field. That does not look like a man who's limited or injured or anything. Like, I think he's ready to put it all out. And I think that, is he going to unleash? I don't know. I think that's going to be key for this offense, is getting him more involved. I don't think he was nearly involved enough for the caliber player they have in that first Raiders game. But it also depends on that connection with him and Drake. They haven't had tons of time. You know, he has a bigger connection with Demario Douglas, with Hunter Henry, because they've been around longer. So I think he's working on that. But if they, as you said, if they can get him more involved this Sunday, I think that could be key to the game. And that could be a true game changer for the Patriots. But the other thing, too, is they have some other receivers that are like Kayshon Boutte. I think he said it himself this week, has been overlooked by everyone.
We had a question in the chat from Cap. Shout out to the chat, by the way. They're loving you, Sophie. Guys, make sure you guys hit that, drop those likes on this. Everybody come on over to YouTube and watch us here. We got Sophie Weller. She's the NFL reporter and writer for Patriots Wire. Go ahead. You were speaking on.
Yeah, so with Boutte, he's one that I think is being so overlooked this season. I mean, he dropped like this all-time quote the other day to reporters, which was like, well, I was like, people forget I was once thought of as a first-round pick. Like, he knows he's capable of it, but he had two ankle surgeries that set him back. There's been some things, and his connection with Drake has really grown, and you can see that on the field. So I think getting Diggs and Boutte involved and having that, I kind of compare it to the Dolphins in a way of having that Waddle, Tyreek Hill threat, of having these two guys that can go deep, that can make these big plays. Whereas you have like Pop and, Travion Henderson, like they have, as I was saying before, they have all the talent. It's just putting it together and finding the right combination of it. So though Diggs and Boutte, I think if they can get them involved enough, those are two guys that could change things for them this season.
And Sophie, going back to Drake, the Dolphins have had, problems with the dual threat quarterback. He could run, he could throw, threw 46 passes last week. Are we going to see him utilize the legs more against the Dolphins, or what are your thoughts on his dual aspect of that kind of approach for Sunday?
Yeah, if the pocket collapses, he just takes it. And that's something he has that Josh Allen ability, is kind of how you have to compare it to, where he had to do that last season. I mean, the Patriots offensive line was not the best last season. And you saw him make some plays out of nothing, simply because he was able to do it with his legs. I don't know if there's going to be, we haven't really seen truly design runs for Drake, which is okay, I think, because he's able to make something when he sees a hole open up. But no, I mean, if that's something, they're going to utilize that if they know that's a Dolphins weakness right there, is that they have.
Absolutely.
The other thing, too, is in New England, they have not had a running quarterback in a very long time, minus the Cam Newton 2020 season, which I like count but don't.
Yeah, was that a running quarterback?
That was like its own season in itself. That's like in its own category. But Tom for 20 some odd years, like, that was not a running quarterback. He's the best but he was not known for his running ability. Mac Jones, similar, was more of a passing quarterback than a runner. But now they have Drake, and that's completely new. Yeah. So I think that's something that they know is they've seen, as you've seen it, as we've seen it, that it's a Miami weakness. Oh, let's do this.
Yeah, real quick on that. I watched the game. He looked like they threw 46 times with Drake. I don't think that's the formula they want, but man, he looks like he missed some passes. He wasn't seeing the field well. He's still got a lot of development there. Sophie, you would agree, right?
And he admits that. He knows that. Again, it's an entirely new, complex offense for him. He's still learning the ways. And he admitted early in the season, he gets very amped up before these games. He's still young in that way. And he's working on settling and just being able to go out and that's going to happen. Listen, there's going to be growing pains with any quarterback, but especially a second-year quarterback on his second offensive coordinator. It's not, you're not going to go and it's going to be like this seamless, transition. There's going to be growing pains, but there's also going to be moments and flashes of brilliance. And what we saw I think how I said it is last season, Drake was the shining point of this offense because there really wasn't much around him, or they weren't doing much with what was around him. This season, there are more factors in play with this offense. So there's a bigger light being shined on Drake. And so like last season, he had his some mistakes, but we were, everyone's like rookie mistakes or, finding another side of the offense to blame that on. Now it's obviously going to fall on him entirely when your offensive line's a bit stronger, when all these different factors. So there's no worry on my side. I'm pretty sure many reporters' side, I don't think there's a worry about Drake. I think this is expected of a second-year quarterback who's on a second coordinator. He has all the talent. He needs to settle down and get in the groove of things.
Fair enough. And we'll go to the standard runners. You have rookie Travion Henderson. You got Ramondre Stevenson. So obviously the game probably dictated the lack of abundant touches for both of them. You had Stevenson outrun him 7-5. How do you see that tandem? And what are your thoughts for Sunday with both of them, especially the rookie for all those fantasy football buffs out there?
Yeah, I think that getting Travion Henderson involved, I said this in the first game too, is another key to this game, that he has the speed and he has the ability to break tackles. And I'd like to see them using him more on early down situations because I think he's better for those like long yardage gains, whereas Ramondre maybe is better for those short yardage power through the middle type of gains. And I think they kind of, they said they went away from the run game. And I actually asked Josh McDaniels about that today, about the run game that like really didn't do much. And I think I was like, what, you have these three running backs who are so dynamic in their own way, who can all contribute to the game in very different ways. What did you see from them in the first game? His answer, we got to get him the ball more. That was it. That was the answer. It's like, okay, glad you said that, because that's how the rest of the fan base feels. That's how, you have these very good running backs and you didn't use them the entire second half.
Yeah.
Especially with Henderson.
Sounds a little familiar with the Dolphins side of things.
We have a rookie running back too, Ollie Gordon, who they didn't barely use, and they said the same thing. That I hate when they say that. Force it in, put him in.
Right.
Speaking of Henderson, like he had a really good, sensational. The first play was the kickoff. Yeah. How's he look? He looked great in camp. That first game, kind of okay. A little. They didn't use him a lot, but it's NFL now, right? It's a different game, but you're still pretty confident. Do you expect him to be the number one back going down the line, or do you think?
I think it's very possible. It's going to depend on if he gets the chance, but I do think it's very possible he becomes that. He has, his abilities, the speed he demonstrates. It looks like he's just jogging and he's halfway down the field, and you're like, where did he go? So I think it definitely is a possibility. It's just, I know the coaching staff is also very high on Ramondre, and Ramondre, outside of a struggling season last year, has proven himself in the past, and I think he can also contribute on a big level. But you have such a dynamic running back in Travion Henderson that you need to utilize more on your offense, and they need to give him that chance.
Yeah, he's probably your biggest play weapon speed-wise on that offense. Let's go to the offensive line, because I know Dolphin fans, our offensive line, we're going to have two new starters. It's a mess. Your offensive line, you have two rookies, I believe. Will Campbell, the 4th pick overall, and then you have Jared Wilson, a guy I like coming out of Georgia, really athletic center guard. How did the offensive line perform? It wasn't great what I saw, especially with Campbell. They're young, but how's the offensive line looking? on
They're
that
learning,
side.
yeah, they're learning how to play together too. I think that you need Garrett Bradbury, I think, had the best game, I would say, in pass block out of all the guys. I'm just looking at their PFF scores. Yeah, he had the best. Owenu and Campbell actually had a very solid day in pass block too. Campbell had a good day overall when you look at his PFF stats. That was
Fourth quarter, he had a couple the strip sack and
the Campbell strip sack, but the other thing too on that one was like, he's a rookie.
Yeah.
And
of course.
He's so hard on himself. He like will look at it and he's like, you can say something good he did. He's like, well, we lost. He took full accountability for that strip sack and all that. With Jared Wilson, he definitely was probably the one to struggle on the line the most, I would say, throughout the entire game. And he acknowledges that he's someone who moved from center to guard and was thrown into the starting role. That is very rare to see two rookies on the same side together. Very, very rare. And the Patriots are doing it because that's their two best linemen together. But it's also a ginormous weakness now that teams are going to target. And you saw that happen with the strip sack and with, with Wilson getting beat plenty of times. So it's kind of like, you're not the most confident in the offensive line, but like compared to the past few years where there hasn't been, I mean, you're going into the a second week in a row where it looks like the same five are going to start. Like, that's huge news in New England compared to what we've had in past years, where the same five actually are set to start again. No changes. Where are we? Yeah. We have been switching so much. So,
there is talk. Like, some people think Campbell should move inside eventually, but they're going to give him every opportunity at left tackle.
They like it, and
don't pick a guard at 4 overall, right? So
and I don't think that they're looking at him. Listen, could it happen one day? I never say never, but yes, he's had some struggles, but also when you look at the scores, his tough fourth quarter, but overall it was not a bad day for him. He actually had in every category was better than Morgan Moses, their veteran right tackle.
Yeah, believe me, we're going through the same thing down here with the offensive line and young players in first game. Speaking of offensive linemen, we need help. We picked up one of your guys, Cole Strange. Tell us a little about Cole. He got released. He was a former first-round pick. Everybody was shocked when they picked him. Tell us a little bit about Cole Strange and what we're getting here in Miami.
Hard worker for sure. The thing with Cole in New England was it almost seemed like it was cursed from the start, with just like the complete uproar that it caused by picking him so early on. And then it was injury after injury with New England. He never really got a fair chance. But the times he was out there at guard in the early days, he showed flashes. He has a lot of potential. He just needs to find that team that he fits in with. The other thing with the Patriots was just it seems like he kind of seemed like he was on track to make the roster, but I think Ben Brown really impressed this summer, and the fact that he has guard center, he has a better guard center versatility, where like Cole has that center versatility. They've been working him there, but it hasn't been as long because Ben Brown's position is center, but then he had a really good, he's been looking solid at left guard too. And I think that was just when you look at the 53, you had to take that chance and go there. So I think it was a good pickup by Miami, and
he's a guard. You see him more as a guard. He's better at guard.
Cole is a guard. Yeah, Cole, I think that you like in a pinch you could put him in center, but I think that his main position is guard.
We need it.
Then you got to. I mean, he's a good player, and I think that he's looking for a team. I think he needs the clean slate. I think it was just everything. Like I said, everything about the Patriots and him just seemed cursed, and this is his chance to just new team. You're on the 53. Go out, make a statement this first game, especially against your former team. It's a revenge game.
Let's hope, right?
That's a good point there too. We very happy to have Cole. We obviously needed the depth interior on the line, but to go back to Stephon Diggs, he's made a living against the Dolphins. I think he's like 8-1 in his career averages like 6 catches, 80 yards, 7 career touchdowns. What's the rest of that whole receiving core? You can even lump in the tight ends with Hunter Henry. And what do you expect from them Sunday?
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think it's kind of going to start with Drake, and if he can settle down, not be as amped up. But if he showed that ability. I think it was the Demario Douglas touchdown or a throw where he threw it in a very tight window, and Demario made that catch. Like, when he settles down, when he focuses and just gets the ball out and plays football the way he can play football, these receivers will make plays. But it's whether they can get open or not. It's whether, they're going to have that ability to create space. And with Diggs, you have to take advantage of the deep field threat for sure. You have to take advantage of, he speed. And I'm sure Diggs is looking at some old film this week of him against the Dolphins being like, well, this worked 8 times out of 9 times I've played him. What can I do? So
and there isn't necessarily an improvement in that secondary for the Dolphins in his time against Miami. So
there you go. So yeah, I think that right there could happen. It's just whether they can settle down enough to make that.
Yeah. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to everybody watching. We have Patriots reporter Sophie Weller from Patriots Wire helping us go kind of a perspective from the other side of the sidelines. All right, so let's switch to the defense here. Man, under Vrabel, the new defenses, and we talked about the new defensive coordinator. How have they been looking? What kind of is the emphasis? Was it the front seven? Kind of what changes have you seen the defense? Seems like they want to go lighter and quicker on the defensive line, what I noticed. Seems like the secondary might be the weakness. Your thoughts on the defense, kind of under new DC and Coach Vrabel?
I think the front seven is their strong suit right now. I mean, you saw it with Harold Landry last week. You have Milton Williams. You have Christian Barmore, Kyrie Tonga. You have some strong guys up front, but it's that secondary, especially without Christian Gonzalez right now, that's really, really tough. And you're seeing that as a weakness. The whole talk of bringing Carlton Davis this offseason was Gonzalez finally has this guy to play opposite of him. But we haven't seen Gonzalez and him play together yet. Even during the summer. Sorry, there's sirens outside. Right. It's going to get very loud.
It's okay.
I live in the city. It's just part of it.
No worries.
But yeah, it's you haven't seen them play together because Gonzalez got injured so early in the summer, and then when Davis was kind of like rehabbing something, and then came back. And Alex Austin has looked very promising. You have Marcus Jones who can kind of play that slot nickel kind of position, but that's a weakness right now without Gonzalez. It's always going to be, and especially, you know exactly who Gonzalez would be on this Sunday if he's playing. There's no doubt who he'd be on. It'd be Tyreek Hill. You need the speed.
You had that nice interception versus Tyreek Hill, if I don't remember last year.
He did a very good job against Tyreek.
And Gonzalez is definitely out, right? He's been out for a while now. But it's not looking.
I mean, we don't know. I think tomorrow will be the day. We're obviously going to find out. But he did not practice yesterday. He did not practice today. Probably very unlikely he will practice tomorrow. I think they're going to want him to get a full week of practice before he plays, if I had to guess, simply because he hasn't done it since the beginning of July or end of July. So it definitely does not look likely.
Well, real quick on the defense, their changes in the safety position? Is it just you said it was just scheme fit? I believe it's now the rookie Woodson out of Cal and Jalen Williams. They went from Duggar and Peppers. They got rid of Peppers, and obviously Duggar's still there, probably because of financial reasons.
Yeah.
Was it just scheme that both those guys are now not starting anymore, and you have a new tandem back there?
No, yeah, it definitely seems like it was scheme. Jalen Hawkins, they really liked what he did this summer. They were very impressed with Craig Woodson as well. And for all the talk of Kyle Duggar, he started last game. He didn't play like all three or the entire defensive series, but he was out there for the first play of the season for the defense. And it's like, okay, we just spent the whole summer. It kind of felt like Vrabel was just doing that as like you tried to make that something. There you go. He's out there. But yeah, I'm looking here, but they like Hawkins had a good game and a bad game all in one, simply because I think he's very good at being in like the middle of the field, but I felt like they were trying too hard to have him be like a cornerback in a way on some of those deep balls, and that's like he's not fast enough to do that. He got destroyed on that first touchdown by the Raiders. So as long as they can just figure that tandem out, but I'm with you where I see the secondary definitely being probably their biggest weakness on the defensive side of the ball, at least until Gonzalez comes back. Then maybe you're just looking at the safety position as that weakness. But without Gonzalez, I mean, that's your staple of the defense right there. There's no denying that's your star. When he's out there, it's a different ball game.
So, Sophie, we'll go from weakness to the biggest strength or advantage that you think the Patriots have over the Dolphins on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm going to stay on defense, and I'm going to go with their front seven simply because, as you guys said, it's 2 new linemen for the Dolphins on the offensive line, and I think that's something that they have to take full advantage of. Harold Landry, it was all the tweets of like the reporters like big game from Harold Landry incoming when we're seeing all the tweets of like 2 new linemen, him, Milton, Barmore, like all these guys. I think they're similar to how teams are looking at the Patriots 2 rookies on the offensive line as a weakness. This is going to be one that this front seven is going to eat up.
Yeah. And I love the linebacker Spillane. Robert Spillane. Spillane, and also it's like the offensive line. When you mentioned the front seven, that Dolphin fans don't want to hear that with the offensive line. But now you said, what do you think the biggest advantage? On the flip side, where do you think they're most vulnerable against Miami? Is it the secondary and the corners?
Yeah, I think it's deep plays. I mean, you have Tyreek Hill, who's always a threat and who always seems, when Gonzalez maybe isn't on him as much, has had a lot of success against the Patriots. And then you also have Waddle, who can make big plays. So those are 2 guys right there. And, you saw the pass with Gonzalez is he's so good when he marks up one player. When he's on Tyreek, like he locks him down. But the issue is that you never had a cornerback that can play that opposite role and like cover the second threat. The Rams game is what I go to the most with like the Patriots last year, where they had multiple, Puka. They had, oh my God, I'm blanking on names, but they just had so many different guys. And I'm to Miami this week. My brain can't remember that many players' names, I guess. But it's just that when you have Carlton and Christian now, you had that possibility. But with Christian out, you're looking at who's going to be on Tyreek, who's going to have the speed and the ability to lock him down and prevent those big plays without Christian. So I definitely think it's a secondary right now.
So let's go with this kind of fill in the blank here. If the Patriots win, it will be most likely because
I would say 2 things. Defense, getting stops and keeping Miami from getting downfield or preventing Tua from even getting the ball out. If they can take advantage of this offensive line issue and get him down before he has the ability to make these big plays to Tyreek, to Waddle, to any of, that's where it starts. And then I would say the other thing is if Drake and the offense settle into themselves and start truly showing their identity that like has been talked about, but that hasn't been seen yet in a game.
Yeah. And
fair enough there.
Patriots win blank. What if the Dolphins win blank? Dolphins win if what blank? We got to bring it back home here if what happens, Sophie.
Yeah, that's if big plays. It's going to be that secondary. It's if they can get charged down the field, get into the end zone. Because the thing is, I think that, yes, the defense can make some big stops when it's needed. But if they're letting up points, I don't think the offense is at the level of where the defense is at right now. I think the defense is stronger as a whole. And that's where these games are going to come down to. It's like, you can't expect your offense to be putting up 30, 40 points a game.
Yeah.
But if your defense can keep them low enough where you give your offense a chance, that's where these games can be won.
Yeah, I got a fun question. Real quick, back to the draft. there was talk you guys were going to take Savi and I, the offensive guard that we took at pick 37, 38. We jumped you guys, and you took Henderson. Is that true? Did you hear anything they were going to go, or what do you? Because sometimes you hear those stories after, but like, how true was that?
I didn't hear anything personally about like what they were doing with that pick. When it came to Henderson, it was just kind of the pick itself came as a surprise, but clearly it's proving already to be a good one. I think it was just that, you had Ramondre, you had Antonio Gibson, running back wasn't in need, whereas guard or, some of these other positions on the offensive line were bigger needs. But as they said, they were going to go with the best player available. Had he still been available, it definitely was a possibility. I personally have not heard anything about that, but it could have been a possibility.
Yeah.
But you guys got him, and when it was their turn to pick, Henderson was the best player on the board, and they took him.
Yeah.
That would be quite the divisional divisional punch.
We'll get you out of here pretty soon. Give me one bold prediction from a Patriots angle here in this game that you see that maybe many people might not expect to happen, or something kind of out there. If you were
both the prediction and a hope, I think I'm going to go with is that Henderson is going to play a bigger factor in the run game.
So you say Henderson has a bigger game there.
I think that they have to find that way to get him more involved in the offense, and that's my bold, not prediction, I guess, but more of my like manifestation.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to an actual prediction, if you don't mind. Sorry to put you on the spot, but we'll George and I will throw a score out too. But what would be your final score prediction for Sunday?
I'm going to go still pretty low, and it's going to be a tight game, but simply because it's week 2 and I covered the team, I'm going to go Patriots to win it 23-20.
Jason, go ahead.
I'm in a very similar. We all got to stay on our home
teams here.
Look, AFC East, these divisional games could very well come down to a field goal. You make a very good point that, yes, the Dolphins have rattled off 4 kickers.
Jason, you love kickers.
I love kickers, but I'm worried because Jason Sanders is not going to be available. So if you're asking Riley Patterson to come on in and potentially win a game, I'm a little worried. I'm going to agree with you on the win. That you guys are going to get a win. You're going to break that 4-game streak. We're not going to get to 5 straight. The last time the Dolphins have rattled off 5 straight wins was back in 2001, long time ago. So I'm going to go 19-17 in a Miami heartbreaker, and I just hope that I'm wrong.
I guess I'll come in here and save the day. I'll give you a couple reasons. 8-2 versus the Patriots in the last 10, right, since 2020. But September Heat. They're coming down from New England in the September Heat. They don't do well. I know you talked about the pass rush, but I think they got a blitz to get to the quarterback. I don't know if the Patriots 4-man rush is good enough. If they blitz the Dolphins, I think things are lining up with Gonzalez out in the young secondary. There could be some big plays downfield. I like the Dolphins 21-17 in a close one. I think it's a close game, but I think things line up for the crazy as it sounds. I think things line up for the Dolphins in this game, but we'll see.
It can go either way, and it's truly gonna. I'm with you, where I think it could come down to that last drive. Who has the ball at the end of the game? Who can do that? Because it's these divisional games. I mean, these teams love to screw each other over at any chance they can, and they're getting a chance this early in the season.
Yeah, this is a crucial game for the Dolphins organization, for their head coach, and I'm sure the Patriots want to go 1-1, but this is a crucial game. Sophie, thank you so much. How about we do this again when we play the second time? We'll book you in already as our as our Patriots.
I'm answering.
That'll be our finale show. Love it.
Finale show.
There. Let's do it.
All right, we got it. Sophie, before we let you out, tell everybody where they can find your work and find you on social media.
Yep. Well, right down there, it's Sophie Weller with 2 E's and 2 R's because 1 E and 1 R was taken. When I made my username. But yeah, I'm there, Patriots Flyers, where all my stories, but I also post them on socials, and I'm at Gillette every day during the season. So you'll get Patriots updates at least leading up to Miami.
Yeah, maybe
from
for
me.
2 weeks.
Those 2 weeks, you can
saying,
follow
"Thanks,
along
Sophie."
from
Yeah.
at Gillette Stadium.
Yeah, thank you, Sophie. Everybody, make sure you drop the likes on the video, follow Sophie, comment in the video in the section, share the video, subscribe, help us out here on the Fins Faithful podcast, and also follow Sophie. We are Saturday back with Countdown to Game Day, Curtis and myself at 10:30 a.m. And then we have post game right after the game, so make sure you guys notify and stay tuned. And Sophie, we'll see you again at the end of the year. I hope all goes well, and we'll talk to you then. For Jason, for Sophie, for myself,
Thank you, Sophie.
Fins up.